You know, I used to play at this club called the Palomino, and it was in North Hollywood. It was my home away from home. I just went there every night I could. I loved country music. I was a start-out singer. I used to do the Palomino Talent Contest, which was I believe it was the Tuesday or Thursday, I forget now. But I would sign up, and this one time I went there to sign up, I didn't know John Prine was in the audience, but I met his manager, a guy named Al Bonetta. And he came up to me after I sang and was telling me, you know, how much he loved my voice or whatever. He goes, would you like to meet John Prine? And I went, John Prine's here? And this was around 1978. And I said, yes, I would love to meet him. So he was sitting over on the edge of the wall where the booths were. Kind of the important people sat along the edge of the wall there on the booths. And we just got to talking, and I just sat down there with them and watched the rest of the show and was hanging out with them. And John says, I'd love to write a song with you sometime. And I said, really? I said, how long are you in town? And he said, well, he goes, why don't we go tonight? He goes, I have a hotel room. So he goes, come over to the hotel room. And he goes, I have whiskey. And I'm like, sounds good to me, whiskey and guitars. So we went over to his hotel and sat down and just started playing songs with each other. And we started writing this song together, which I haven't recorded it yet, but actually James McMurtry, this is kind of a strange story that out of that experience came me and John sitting in a hotel room at the Newport Folk Festival with McMurtry around, and a bunch of people were around, and he heard me and John singing part of this song, which was, I got you painted on the inside of my eyelids, it's true, because I can't sleep without looking at you. And we were like goofing around with this song, and McMurtry heard it. He said, I never forgot that. And after John passed away, James and I were, I think we were maybe on FaceTime or something, because we weren't in person, but he goes, let's finish that song. So James finished it, and we kind of finished it together, and he took it in a whole other direction. Well, after the fact, I found my notes that Prine and I had, and I'm like, well, I'm going to finish it my way. You know, so there's kind of going to be two versions of the John Prine song. One has James's, you know, input, which was beautiful. So anyway, I haven't really finished it and I haven't recorded it yet, but John and I stayed up till about 8 o'clock in the morning drinking and working on that song. And he, you know, the song really had him coming on to me, right? Because I can't sleep without looking at you, you know, and it was very flirtatious. And about, you know, 8:15 in the morning, I said, well, and I had my little tape recorder, and I'm like, well, song's done, gotta go. And so I packed up and he was like, you could tell he was thinking like, what, you're not gonna stay here? You know, and you're leaving? And later on, Al Bonetta had said something about, you know, that really blew John's mind, that I was just all business. You know, I'm here to write a song and then I got to go, you know, and he kind of teased me about that for a long time. But, you know, I didn't have an ulterior motive in my mind. I was writing a song with the legendary John Prine, you know. That was around 1970, I think 78 or 79. We were kids. Every time he came to town, he would call me up and say, I'm in room 235 or something, and let's get together. And we would hang out. I was invited to any show he was doing, and then all of a sudden I was his opening act. So the Golden Bear or the Roxy or somewhere up in San Francisco. And then I started opening for Steve Goodman. So Al Bonetta, they all really liked me. And I was just this young kid, you know, that could sing and write songs. And so I was the perfect opening act because I had my little acoustic, you know. And so I was around them a lot. I was very fortunate. There was a time when he was hanging out with Ricky Lee Jones. I'm not certain about this, but I thought they might have had been a little closer, and because she was hanging out with him a lot, and but I would still get invited over to the after hang, and the last time I saw him was I was playing with this group from San Antonio called Los Tex Maniacs, and I was on tour with them. We went to Vancouver Island, and Prine was on the bill. And Alejandro Escobedo was in the group with Los Tex Maniacs. We were like the two highlighted guests. And so I got to hang out with John and watch him play, and with Fiona, his wife. And that's the last time I saw him. And that would have been, I wonder if that was 2018 or 19. And I couldn't believe that he was sick with this coronavirus, they called it at the time. And I thought he was going to, I would sit there and I had this deck and I would pray on the moon every night that John would get well. And that was my thing every night. And I just was like, no, he's going to get well. So I was really blown away and very sad when we lost him, as were millions of people in the world, People should know that he was clever and funny and down to earth and just the kindest musician I've ever met. He was a gentleman. He was just funny, and he was cool as shit, man. He was, you just wanted to be around him. It's like you wanted him to rub off on you, And I just saw him being that way with everybody he was around. And he was just likable. Everybody liked him. And I can't say that about every musician I've ever met, especially some famous ones, which I hope I never see again. Some of those people, and so, but he wasn't like that at all. He was real. It's like my friend Rachel that lives here. When you meet him, they feel like family. And he was one of those, as was his wife, Fiona, when I met her, and got to go over and spend a Christmas party with them once, and that was fun. Met the kids when they were little, and I remember her saying, "It's so late. Can you drive?" Because I'd been drinking, She goes, "I'm going to give you some coffee. I'm taking coffee with you." So I remember she gave me this coffee, to go thing, and she goes, "You keep that. That's your souvenir for coming. That's your party favor," or whatever. And yeah, they were just great people.